Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Pelican, built tough for all situations. Go to pelican.com. Yak Gadget, for all your fine kayak fishing accessory needs. Go to yakgadget.com. Eastport Marina, on the beautiful shores of Dale Hollow Lake, for all your lodging, kayaking, and fishing needs. Go to eastport.info. Now let's get this show started. Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back to ICast 2022. I'm here in the Tightline Anchor booth with Greg Linton, Thomas. We're going to talk about the Tightline Anchor a little bit. We're going to get a little background on these guys. I know we did a podcast with these guys probably about a year ago, right?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Yeah. So you guys can go back. We're gonna do a shortened down version of that. We just wanted to keep the Tightline Anchor name in front of you guys. It's just such a cool anchor system that they got set up here. So, Greg, why don't you guys give us a little background on like how you started, what got you into making anchors?
Yeah, absolutely. So Thomas and I basically we started with a much larger anchor. The anchor that we're selling now is this 3.5 pound anchor that we call it the K5. But back in about 2017, we actually started out with an anchor that weighed about 20 pounds, and it was for a big work boat. And the whole intent with that anchor was just to build a better anchor for that boat. It wasn't actually to start a business. So after we sort of solved that anchoring problem, we were looking at how we can take up less space on the boat, and we made that anchor collapsible. Okay, perfect, problem solved. And it was kind of, we put it on the shelf, but the more people that saw that anchor were like, hey, I got to have one of these, right?
Sure.
And so like, okay, well, let's see if we can build them. And, we're a garage-based business in the beginning. And it's like, well, we don't really have the resources to be able to build these on scale and affordably. And we didn't have any business background or experience. So thought, no, like maybe we'll just set it aside for now and take a look at it later. Yeah, rethink it. And then at that time, Thomas was down in the States and down here because we're a Canadian-based company. But he was down here and said, hey, Greg, have you seen these fishing kayaks? I was like, yeah, I've seen the kayaks, but I don't have any experience with them. And so I said, well, do you think we can make that bigger collapsing anchor into something and
fits the kayak platform?
Right.
You know what I mean? And can we scale it way back? Instead of, we started, I guess, in the marine segment, but get back down into paddle sports, a really small craft on the bottom, and prove our design, make sure it works, and then we'll move up forward at a later date. But we're, kayak fishing took off.
Yeah.
The need for an anchor in certain river fishing, offshore environments, and we just took it from there.
That's cool, man.
Refined the design and learned a lot along the way about manufacturing. More about business than we probably
cared to find out about.
And I think that's still going on today. But lessons learned and refining a design and running our skills as, I guess, product developers and garage engineers. And I think it just flourished into what we've got today. And we're super proud of it. And we love our customer base. We really like the feedback from our customers and coming to ICast and meeting them at the show. Whether they saw us 4 years ago here, and they just realized, hey, that's that anchor I saw 4 years ago, or my buddy's got one of those, and that's what we like to hear.
Well, and what's cool about it, like we were talking right before we started this, like 4 years ago, the anchor you came with didn't look exactly like this and didn't do the things it did, right? And you guys continue to evolve and do new things to make your product better, which is cool. You want to see that out of a company, right? So why don't you give us a quick walkthrough and a rundown of the actual anchor itself, like from, top to bottom or bottom to top. It's up to you guys. Like, let the guys know how this thing works.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a collapsing anchor. The easiest way to close it without pinching your fingers is like this. If you want to open it, point it away from yourself, use the arms against each other. It's all made out of 316 stainless steel, so it's perfect for saltwater environments. You're not going to have any rust issues or anything seizing up. The underneath the powder coat finish, that's all stainless as well. So we have a bare finish anchor. It's like this without any without any powder coating on it whatsoever.
Okay.
And people refer to this as the stainless anchor, but they're actually all stainless.
Okay. Okay.
And so we have a couple different colors. People like to match up their gear with their boats. So we have a yellow one. We just, for ICast, we
brand new this year's going to be desert sand color.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hoping that catches on with not only the fishing community, but maybe the hunting.
Yeah.
People that hunt, you just mentioned hunting out of your kayak.
Yeah.
Duck hunting, that type of thing.
Nice.
Absolutely. And actually, to that point, we were talking to a customer yesterday, and he was talking. He's like, "This would be the perfect jerk rig for his waterfowl hunting."
Yeah.
So that's something that we haven't really considered marketing that product for that, but something to consider for sure. So back to the anchor here, you can rig it with a breakaway line. So basically, you've got a hole in the bottom of the anchor here where you can run a line through, and we sell this as a kit, the breakaway line kit. You just have a cable tie at the top. If you get hung up underneath something like this, you can paddle back over wherever you're hung up on. You reef this, it breaks the cable tie, and then you're pulling the anchor up and out from underneath the rocks or logs or whatever that you're
Yeah. That way you're getting your anchor back and not having to buy another one, which is huge. You know?
Absolutely.
Especially when you're fishing like rocky rivers and stuff like that. I mean, fishing a muck bottom lake is one thing, but when you're getting hung up in those rocks and you're spending a nice price on an anchor, you want to get that thing back.
Absolutely, for sure. And there's different ways you can rig this anchor as well with a float, so that if you have to, like, we always recommend you have a quick and easy way of like de-anchoring or getting your anchor off your boat.
Sure.
So if you're in an emergency or something, you're taking on water, you get sideways in fast moving water, you got to get rid of that anchor quick.
Okay.
And so we recommend that people, use a float. There's lots of ways that you can rig that, but basically you have a float and a clip wherever you're anchored off your boat, you can quickly release it, and then the float's there where the anchor is. You go back and retrieve it when it's safe to do so. And probably the most important feature about this anchor is really the design of the anchor arm. So this is built like an old field plow, and I don't want to say anything negative about competitor anchors or anything like that, but the arm is designed more of like a spoon on those anchors, whereas this with this point is made to break through the vegetation and whatever's on the bottom, and then use these two pieces here, we call those brake spades, to actually act as the braking force to dig in. We also have a swivel on all of our anchors, so if you're deep water anchoring, if you got 100 feet of rope out, you bring that in and it's bouncing off all the weeds and stuff, and you come and you got a big bird's nest of anchor line. Nobody wants that, especially if you're fishing. You got your fishing hooks and everything around that. So we thought it was important to incorporate that, and we warranty them for life. So if you got a problem with it, ship it back to us. We'll service it or we'll replace it. No problems there.
It's super cool, man. It's a genius idea, and I just love how it would grab the bottom, and then the breakaway feature is huge. Being able to get it back.
Well, it's a cheap insurance policy to make sure you're getting a quality piece of equipment back.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like having a lanyard on your best rod, right?
Yeah.
It's like $5 or $15.
Right. To save a $300 rod or whatever it may be.
And you're like, glad I got that back.
Well, kayak fishermen, they don't have to spend $100,000 on a boat. They're spending a couple grand on a boat so they could buy a few $1,000s worth of rods, right? So you want to protect that investment.
Yeah.
It's the same way, man. I mean, you want to protect your investment in your anchor and be able to have something that drops down and keeps you where you want to be, so you're in that fish zone,
Yes.
And this absolutely accomplishes that.
We've heard from, especially here at ICast, we've heard from other tournament anglers, and they go out and the frustrations there because you don't always fish on a postcard day where the water's dead flat,
right,
and the mist is flowing and it's like
kumbaya.
It's not like that, right?
It's never like that.
At 9 a.m, it's going to turn into a nightmare.
Sure.
And by noon you're moving around, and if you can't stay put, you can't stay on the fish,
right,
you're
not having a good day.
And we have team members, and we have people that have bought the anchor and use it, or tournament anglers, and people be drifting by them. They're like, how you sit still? Like, what? And they're just floating on by.
Right.
You can stay at that dock or boathouse or structure feature and work it over, right? And they're struggling to, the struggle's
Sure.
real. Like
Yeah.
you're paddling and casting and steering and
sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to add to that too, like for your audience there, regardless of what anchor you use, you're always best to use more anchor line too. Like that's
right.
the anchoring tip of the day is
road
make
ratio.
sure you have enough road ratio. So
right.
for every foot of water, you want to have at least a couple of feet of rope out there. So whatever anchor you're using can lay down and it's got an actual chance to bite, right? You can't anchor, in 12 feet of water with 14 feet of line. It's just not going to work, right?
Yeah.
So
I've seen guys in boats try to do that, like big boats, and it's like, this guy has no clue,
Yeah.
Exactly,
Well, and hey, sometimes you might get lucky if you know you're fishing, the structure.
Sure.
It's a heavy weed bed. The weeds are like 4 feet tall.
Right.
Maybe you're going to be on a 1-to-2 ratio.
Right.
But it's usually 3-to-1 or 7-to-1 in the marine industry, and if you get lucky, you're locked in, right?
Yeah, for sure. So if anybody's interested in getting one of these anchors, where should they go? What's the best way to find you guys?
So on our website, we have a dealer map. So we always like to steer people to our dealers where they can actually go and put their hands on it and check it out. Like everybody likes to do that. So you can check out our dealers on our website. If you don't have a local dealer, 100% you can order online through us.
Okay.
We ship through UPS, FedEx, kind of whatever the quote of the day is. So
sure.
People get their anchors usually within about a week of making their order. We try to fulfill everything, quickly.
Right.
But that's the best place to go is tightlineanchor.com.
Okay. Very cool, man. And you guys got the social medias too, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff as well?
Yes, we do.
It's all Tightline Anchor?
Yeah, it's all Tightline Anchor, yeah.
Cool.
And we also have a Facebook page that if any of you already own an anchor or you're interested in owning an anchor, check out the Facebook Tightline Anchor Owners Group.
Okay.
And you can go on there and you can ask people that own them, like what they like, how they're rigging it, where they got it from. Like,
It's smart, man. Like it's so many companies, like I know all the boat companies have that and stuff like that. And you get a lot of people, like you're saying, come into there and like, hey, I'm on the fence of buying this boat or, sure. In your guys' case, should I buy this anchor? How should I rig it up? What should I do? That's essential because you could tell them, right? But they don't ever want to listen to the guy that knows what he's talking about. They want personal feedback from guys that are actually using it, and that's huge, man. That's super cool. You got that.
And I think too, if your boat's in your garage and you're on the owners group, and somebody said, I just bought a lever lock system, and I've got the anchor and I don't understand.
Right.
People go out in the garage and shoot a video and say, this is my boat.
Yep.
And talk to them live at night.
That's cool.
Everybody's like, show me that one more time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing about this whole kayak fishing community is like people are really genuinely interested in helping each other out.
Oh yeah.
It's not trying to keep stuff secret.
No. It's not like the boat world used to be where like it was so tight-lipped, like kayak anglers just want to see everybody have that better success on the water. There's nothing better than, helping a guy out to, have more success like each trip out, it's
and there's a lot of that install and modification of installations, and people are saying, this is the way and they'll tell you why it's set up that way and why it works, right? And they might know you from your socials and know that you do a lot of fishing in the same environment that they're fishing in.
Right.
And they say, if it's good enough for Brian, it's good enough for me, and they get a hold of you and you explain it, and then they're like, well, I set it up just like Brian's.
Yeah. Well, I mean, kayak fishing, man, it's the whole background of it has been pretty much all DIY, guys figuring out because they were taking kayaks that weren't designed for fishing and then trying to figure out how to make it work because they didn't want to spend that money on a big boat or whatever. Not only that, but you can get into these small places, fish small creeks, rivers where this is going to be essential, guys. And, it's just a cool, tight niche community where everybody's just trying to help each other out, man.
Yeah. So. And one more point to that too, Brian, is and a lot of people may or may not know this, but if you can use this anchor with just like simply like if you're river fishing, you can use this with one arm out.
Oh yeah,
right?
I wouldn't have thought of that. Yeah.
And I know. Team member, good friend of ours, Derek Aiken, he usually only used one arm out. He said I very rarely use the others. If you want to, you can pull two out of two opposing, and you've got a Navy anchor.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right on.
So
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? And it's condition specific. You can set it up to work the way you want. And if I was fishing with you and you had your anchor out, I'd say, "What are you doing?" And you'd say, "I'm just putting one arm out." Well, I do the same thing because I just learned something.
Yeah. That's cool.
And you're like, "Why?"
I
say, "Well, because it's kind of, to me, it's a drift anchor with one arm out.
Yeah.
It's slowing me down. It's not completely keeping me stopped.
Or no arms out.
Or no arms out. Just drag it behind you.
Right.
It's a it's a speed brake.
I feel like I just learned something here.
That's all right. Hang around. We can talk.
No, that's super cool. That's a unique idea. I wouldn't have thought of that because everybody's going to just open it all up. But yeah, just using it as a drag anchor with one arm out or just completely closed. I mean, this is still going to grab something.
Yeah.
Yeah. To slow you down.
And everybody, once we show them, typically they can see it in their mind's eye. Like if you pull one arm out and you go like this, everybody's driven by a field and seen a John Deere plow.
Yeah. Right.
What's this look like?
Yeah, John Deere plow there.
And what do? They go forward, they drop it in, it goes straight in before they're almost instantaneously they're moving forward, right?
Yeah. I'm from farmland, man. I live in Illinois. I see it all the time.
There you go. Right.
No, it's super cool, man. I appreciate you guys taking the time out this morning.
No problem.
Let me come in the booth, chat with you guys again. I know you guys chatted with Brad and Josh before, and that was super cool. I know they got a lot of positive feedback from that. So, guys that are watching now, watching later, people listening on the podcast, go back and check that old episode out, or just jump on tightlineanchors.com. Check these guys out. I'm sure if you're fishing, whether it be a river, lake, whatever, I mean, this anchor could be a huge factor for success on the water. So, guys, thank you again.
Yep.
Appreciate it, man.
No problem, Brian.
Guys, gals, I'll see you on the new stream here shortly. And then that's pretty much it for me from ICast. So hope you guys enjoyed all these streams. We will see you back home. As always, boys and girls, tight lines, smooth paddle. Peace.